Merry meet and welcome everyone. This is a recap of the divination portion of the September 19th AstroTarot show that airs on thecauldron.net every Thursday night at 9 p.m. Eastern Time. And this is your celestial host, Sirona Rose. I wanted to go ahead and do this recap. I did the astrological recap yesterday, and I just want to tie it in all together. Now, I just want to remind everyone that the astrology and divination readings that I do give are general, and they may not pertain to everyone. It may not relate to you at first. Maybe it'll take some time. But, we have to remember we are all individuals. We are all on our individual paths with different circumstances. And we all have our different, unique, energetic expressions. So we have to keep that in mind. But I do feel that everyone can get something out of this reading. These readings can go pretty deep and they can just hit some of the high points in your life. But I do feel that you should get something out of it. If you would like a more personal readings on how these energies do affect you at this time, you can always send me an email at astrotarotreport@gmail.com, and I will be putting that down in the discussion box. Now, what we are going to start out with is the Om of the month. I pull an Om for every month to give us the energy that's coming to us through this form of divination. I will be doing a separate class describing what Oms are, where they came from, etc. So just bear with me a little bit. Just know this is an ancient form of divination as well as writing. All right. Now, the Om of the month is the Om, which is the fir tree or pine. The totem is the owl and eagle. And the deities are the Great Mother in her many forms. And the letter is A. And I do want to say that the totem here is owl or eagle. Now, in the astrological part of the show, I spoke about the phoenix because during the last moon on the 14th, Neptune and the moon were in the constellation Phoenix. So how this should tie in is that in Arabic astrology, they call it the eagle instead of the phoenix. So that is a good tie-in right there. Now, for this Om, the one word that definitely comes to my mind is clear sight. It is about seeing the bigger picture of things. Like, think about what an eagle sees. He soars flying high in the sky, and he is able to see anything. Now, this is spiritual understanding that brings us insight and helps us to expand our awareness. Have you ever seen the firs or the pines that grow high on those tall mountains? Think about climbing to the top of one of those trees and to be able to see everything that is before you, beside you, and behind you. This is the energy of seeing the bigger perspective. We are able to become aware of all that is before us, behind us, and around us. This also helps us to connect spiritually, helping us gain a better spiritual awareness. As I said, this is the energy of the Great Mother. This is healing energy that helps us through any situation. It is the unconditional part of the Great Mother. This energy also encourages us to stop and to breathe, to take in the beauty around us. We are encouraged to surrender to the Goddess, to have some humility, and to walk the path of spirit. Let go of the traumatic parts of our past. And that is talking about releasing those karmic cycles that we keep going through. And it tells us to look at our past, our present, and our future to connect with them. Look at how and why you are where you are today. What decisions led you to this present moment? Now, we cannot control the actions of others, but we can control our response, and we do have control of our destination. We have control of our lives. That is a wonderful, wonderful Om for this month, and I will be pulling a new one, not for this next show, but I will be pulling a reading for a new Om on the next one, which would be the 10th of October. I'll be pulling a new Om. Now I showed you the card, and this is the Om that I made. This is the Om. You can see that good with the letter A, and you can see there that it is basically a cross. And like I said, this is from the Oms that I made, and they're made out of oak. All right, so now we are going to go to our rune of the week. Remember, I will be pulling one of those, a new one of those this Thursday. And this is the rune that we had last reading, and it's the energy that we're coming out of. We're in the height of it right now. And you can stay tuned and listen to the next show to get the next rune. Now, this is Algiz. And these runes, I made these runes about 18 years ago. It wasn't when I first started on my path, but it was about that time. The runes have always called me. They've intrigued me. I feel really good with them, but learning them to me has been a deepening process. It's just like a little at a time. It's not overnight. It's like taking the time and allowing each petal to unfold. It's been quite interesting what I have learned through working with the runes. Now, the key words to this rune is protection, rushes, and the elk or deer. Now, the deer was very important for the people of Northern Ireland and the Celtic tradition. It represents the god Cronus, god of fertility and abundance. The antlers represent the cyclic rebirth, and it represents the woman or swan or the Valkyrie, and open hands. If you can see on each side, it looks like a person standing with open hands to the sky. This rune represents times of change or transition and evolution, which is really important considering yesterday was the fall equinox. So we are in the middle of change and transition. It is a time when new opportunities can come to us. With changes, we can become highly emotional, and this is about maintaining our cool by controlling our emotions instead of them controlling us. It reminds us to step back and stay mindful in the present. Allow yourself to go through the emotions and to not run or try to escape from these intense times, but to stand up and face them. This is like a mirror where we can recognize that true battle that is within the self. This is us looking into the mirror of the self and looking at our true essence, looking at everything that we've done, sort of like a self-reflection. True protection is to overcome the challenges, to face our fears, to recognize what the issues truly are, that getting to the core of what is going on. Only through true control over our emotions or over ourselves. That is where the ultimate protection is found. It is a time to stretch our minds, to open our hands, and to receive knowledge from the divine source. It is considered one of the most important runes. That is a wonderful rune as well. It ties in well to our reading. And, you know, I think it's really fun how the astrology and the divination readings can really go hand in hand, and it shows that true connection of as above, so below. And this is why I developed AstroTarot because at the time when I was doing tarot readings, I was doing the astrology, the earth energy readings. They just seemed to mesh so well together. They just really complemented each other well. So now I will go on to the tarot part of the reading. And I only pulled 4 cards here because I was running out on the show, running out of time on the show, and like I said, it was only for an hour, so I could only fit in a short time. Now, next week, I will be going more in depth into my Patreon channel, and I will be leaving that link down below in the discussion box there, or description box, I should say, and I will be going more in depth with the reading and really honing in, because we do have a new moon that's coming up, and it is a pretty important one because of we are now entering the fall and some stuff that has been going on. So, and it's opening us up to a new cycle. That's what new moons are, which is a new moon cycle. So again, you'll want to check my reading Thursday night as well, but when I do put it on the Patreon, it will be a little bit longer and I will be adding more insight. This time I'm just getting used to doing it, so I'm keeping it rather short. These issues will not be on the Patreon channel, but they will be available for you online and also over on my AstroTarot with Sirona Rose page on Facebook. Now, where we are for our tarot deck, I just want to say that I am using the Witch's Tarot by Ellen Dugan. This is one of my favorite decks I like to use. It's really down to earth, and it's really truthful. It cuts through all of the mesh. It's just really, it's good for me. You know, if you're a reader yourself, you know, you always find that one deck that you're really sweet on. Sure, you can have several that you read from, and I do as well, but you know, you just have that one deck that you like to read on, that's your jam, you know. So for this week, the reading is the 5 of Swords. I'm going to bring that up a little bit so you can see that a little bit better. You see the dragonfly there in the center. There are 5 swords pointed at him, and there are 5 fairies that are just flying around the swords. They're really not worried about getting cut on those edges. Those edges are very sharp. This is a double-edged sword, and this is really important to note here. This is why I'm more of a traditional tarot reader, as I really look for symbology and things like that. I like the older tarot decks. It's like I said, I've been reading tarot for many years. I got my first tarot deck when I was 17 years old, so that was that was a couple decades ago. So but here on this card, I don't want to get us too lost, but here on this card, you can see that all of these swords are pointed at the dragonfly. Now, this could be a path that you could have taken here, and it could have caused you some embarrassment. Maybe you failed at it, you didn't go right. But this is also telling you that there are many different ways to go other than that one. Swords have a reflective energy. So, you know, it's a little bit about reflection as well. This sword can mean, stop fighting with yourself. As in, this is where we are. So we're having some self-conflict going on. Maybe we're being insecure about some things, really not sure of ourselves. Maybe we feel like that, you know, we took a wrong path somewhere. Maybe we have taken a wrong direction and it's just really hasn't worked out, and we're feeling bad about it, and we don't want to admit defeat. We don't want to say that we were wrong, you know, but you know, we do make mistakes, and those are okay to make. It just tells us which way is not for us. But this card is telling you, you know, stop fighting with yourself. You know, be gentle with yourself. There are more possibilities. You know, the number 5 is on here, and 5 is the bringer of change. So you're in the middle of a change, and maybe you have made some decisions that wasn't quite right, that wasn't really good for you. Maybe you were tricked into something. Maybe someone wasn't really truthful with you about the circumstances, and now you're feeling like, oh my goodness, I'm in the middle of this. I made this change for this. Now what can I do? Know that there are more possibilities. The dragonfly, one of the abilities that it has is the ability to see through illusions. So, learn to see beyond the surface of things. Go a little bit deeper. Ask deeper questions other than just surface questions. And it's about, this card is about transforming your life. You have the power to transform your life here. Yes, it may not be the way that you want it right now, but there's more avenues that are open to you if you just open your mind a little bit. Remember what the rune said, to expand your mind and to see in a different perspective. You know, the swords here, they are known to cut through the nonsense. So allow that energy of air to cut through and to, take those messages of different opportunities. There could be some that come along to you that you may not realize is an opportunity, but it is. Allow the messages of air to bring you those new opportunities and allow you to go a different direction that is going to be more beneficial from you. Don't be embarrassed of yourself, of the decisions that you made. Sure, they may not have worked out and they may not be the way that you thought that they would be, but it's time for you to make the most out of it and stop beating yourself up about it and work with yourself and tap into that. Become the creator. Create a beautiful life. Create a wonderful life, one that you want to live. Now, I'm going to go on to the next card, and this is the challenge. And this is definitely a challenge. This is the Tower card. Yeah, see that? These cards are typically the same. There's always lightning striking a tower. All the towers look a bit different, but normally most of them have two people jumping out. And this is about changes that are happening out of your control. You have built your security on a weak foundation, and it's time to make some changes and go a different direction. You see here the crown. There's a crown on top of that there. The crowns represent the ego. So this is about the ego getting hit as well. So this is another card about maybe you have, a decision that you've made wasn't quite the best one for you. Maybe you didn't make the best one for yourself and for your highest good. And it's saying that it's time to rethink things, to reprioritize some things in your life, look at things, reflect on some things. It's not the end of the world. It's just a time to rebuild, and we can rebuild. That's what our life is about. Life is about ebb and flow. We have really good times, and then we have good times, and then they're okay, and then all of a sudden they're getting worse, and then, oh my God, they're so bad. We're having some very bad times. But no, this is what life is. It's ebb and flow. Ebb and flow. So we have to go with these changes. Many things operate in cycles as well. Maybe something is not meant to stay in your life for a long time, as this can represent divorce, separation, an ending of something, that was your foundation, that was a part of you, that was very close to you. So in this card, we have to sit back and we have to roll with these changes. We could be, at this time, maybe you found out something that was very shocking. Or maybe you came to a revelation that has just really, that has really shocked you. And this could be something that in your life has been stewing, and now it's just like you've got all of this built up pressure, and now that the lid is blowing off. So it could be a time that secrets can come uncovered, secrets be revealed. Maybe you'll find out something. This is dramatic. As you see, the people are jumping out of the tower. So this is definitely like a change of plans, situations that are coming to a head. It is upheaval, and, spiritually speaking, this can be blocks being removed from your path. If you have been in a place where you're just, you can't go forward, or you're stagnant, or you're stuck in something that you're trying to figure out how to get out of, this could be a message saying that those blocks will be removed. Now, we have to think about, okay, how are these blocks going to be removed? Well, you have to watch out for your intention, and when you set your intentions, you need to make sure you're very specific, because you could have a job that you don't like, and every day you regret going to it, and then you get fired from it, or you have a layoff, or that is a drastic change. That's something that you don't fully have control over. But and it's pushing you into the next. It's pushing you through the change that you're needing. So it's not the end of the world. It's just a moment to rebuild, and you have to look at your perspective on these things. You cannot get pulled under by the undertow of the chaotic energy of change. You cannot get swept away with this. You have to go with this, roll with this, allow this to be a new beginning and a new opportunity for you. All right, now, our advice is the Two of Swords. And here we are with the card. Sorry about that. There's the Two of Swords, and there she is holding those swords. I want you to see it really up close so you can see. You see the fairies beside her as well. She has water to her back, meaning that she has turned her back on her emotions. The moon is waning in the background, and there are mountains, challenges. So you see that she is blindfolded, and she has two swords crossed in front of her. She has decisions to be made, or to make, either way. And she is sitting on a stone bench. Now, the number 2 is about balance. It is a feminine energy. It can represent that unconditional type energy, but it's also one of choices to be made. Since her eyes are closed, we can't allow only our logic to rule us. We have to turn our emotions back on. See, she has put her back to the water, denying her emotions, denying what she feels. How can she listen to her intuition clearly if she is denying her emotions? There are these little flowers the fairies are around are lavender, and that is also associated with the element air. It's a protective herb. A lot of witches do grow that in their gardens, but what is important here is that lavender can also symbolize distrust. Now, what's interesting here, and I really want to show you this because, when you stare at the cards, you learn a lot. You see that little fairy's bum right there. See the little legs? So he's facing both fairies. There's the other fairy. Both fairies are facing the water. So they're trying to, they're trying to protect her while she's in this moment of indecision. And here she has obviously blocked that off. This card can many times literally mean that you just refuse to see what's in front of your face. You have closed, you just don't want to see it. Maybe it's too emotional for you. Maybe that's why you've turned off your emotions. This card is in the advice. So it's telling you, the advice here would be to listen to your intuition, listen to your emotions, as well as your logic. But there's a decision, there's a path that you need to take. You need to choose which direction you are going. You know, this card is about balance as well, because the 2 is on here. And the heart and the mind really need to be at balance here. This card can also indicate, since she's refusing to see what's in front of her face, it could also indicate that, and in the advice, it's it could say to you that you really need to look at those relationships that have unhealthy boundaries, and you need to fix that. And that is right on time with our astrology as well. Saturn really wants us to, protect ourselves and to draw those healthy boundaries. And here, this is touching on that as well. You can't hold your feelings in about something. You need to let them out. If you don't, it will cause an explosion. You need to consider all the options that are in front of you before you make these decisions. And it needs to be in alignment with your heart and your mind. The mind, body, and soul connection, that is what it needs to be in alignment when you are making a decision. It can't be too logical. It can't be too emotional. It can't be too much in our intuition. It has to be in alignment. The water is very calm here, so it's important for you to stay calm at this time and not to overreact. But water is reflective as well, so this is about some self-reflection as well. Now, it's time that you go look for some, take some time, take a moment, sit with yourself, have that self-reflection, and really make those decisions that need to be made. Because I feel that, through this can harm you by not drawing those healthy boundaries, by leaving it open. It's not good for you. It's not good for you. So our outcome, our message from Spirit is the 8 of Swords, another sword card. So there's a lot of messages here. Air is really trying to cut through the clouds and cut through that fat to help you get to the lean part of the meat and help you get the messages, help you see what's in front of you here. This is another card where the woman is blindfolded. Okay? Now, in this one, she is loosely bound with her hands behind her back. Her blindfold is on, and she is standing in a circle of 8 swords. Number 8 is it's the infinity sign. It represents as above, so below. So what is going on your inside, what is going on in your outside is normally a reflection of each other. This is about balancing those two. Fixing the inside so you can fix the outside. Now here, if you notice, she could easily slip right out of those ropes that bind her, take her blindfold off, and easily slip through those swords. But she's not. She's not moving. There's a castle in the background there. There's also water to her back. It is a little rippling there. It is moving just a little bit. So there is some movement there. And if you can see, the sun is beginning to rise. So this is saying that a new beginning is possible. This card is one that always says to me that you're in a rut, you're in stagnation, and it's time for you to get out of it. There's change here. There's change that needs to be made, and you should step beyond those restrictions that you have set for yourself. Change is scary for many people as it's uncertainty. What is behind what is around the corner? What is waiting for me around the corner? It's that uncertainty that really scares us, that can really put us in that state of fear. And just in astrology, we talked about Saturn in the South Node, about, facing our fears. So this being in the outcome or the message from Spirit is saying that it is time for you to let go of those things that are binding you. You have that power to do that. Take off your blindfold and look at what you are refusing to see and step out of this trap, these restrictions, this situation that you have got yourself into. It's time to turn and face that new dawn, face that new day. It's time to greet it. There's water here, so there's reflection. There's some self-reflection going on. This is about feelings as well. Feeling like you're emotionally trapped, having these feelings on the inside, and you just can't release them. It can be overreacting as well. Maybe you're overreacting for something. Maybe you're feeling too sorry for yourself. Are you wallowing in pity? It's time to come out of that. We all go through changes. We all go through that. It's the wind of change that's happening right now. We all suffer from transition, whether it be emotional, financial, many different ways, sometimes all the above. We all have to get used to transitions in our life, because this life is all about changes. That is our only constant. So we need to go with that flow of that. We need to stop fighting it and look for ways to get out of it. Look for different options. Things may not be as bad as they're appearing for you. You can, happiness and freedom are available to you. You just have to want to do it. You have to want to change. You have to want to step into your fullness of yourself. This card can represent somebody who is afraid of their own power, of their, of who they are. And it's time for you to do that. Being blindfold, it's about trusting in yourself as well. You're not trapped. It's time to come out of that feelings, come out of the self-sabotaging ways, or, that sadness. You can step out of this. This is just a situation. This is just a moment. You have the ability to move beyond it. You have the ability to leave if you want. So that is it for the reading. I went a little bit longer than I thought I would go, but you know how readings are. Sometimes it takes a few minutes, sometimes it takes 30 or an hour. So there's a lot of information in this reading, and I do hope that you can take something from this. I'm pretty sure that many people can, because this is a time of great change, not only for us in the Northern Hemisphere as well, but it is as well as those in the Southern Hemisphere. They are going through a change as well. We're entering fall, they're entering spring. So they're coming into their time of growth, into their light part of the year, while we are going into our dark part of the year. And Samhain, which is Halloween, will mark the beginning of the dark half of the year. So you see how this is working in unison with each other. And just remember, darkness is not always a bad thing. All life comes from the dark. It is a time to learn. It is a time to feed to feed our souls. It's a time for that reflection. It's a time for, seeing what we've done wrong and doing it a better way. Right now we're in harvest season time, so we are reaping what we have sown from this previous growing season here. Our light half of the year, we're seeing what we've done right, what we've done wrong, what we want, what we do not want, and we're going through all of this and we're sifting through it. But remember, you are in control of your life. And as I'm doing these astrology reports, I am helping you to become conscious of what energy is being influenced to us at this certain time. And this allows you to work with the fates or with the norns. A lot of people call them the norns. The 3 fates or the norns. It's about working with them and co-creating the life that you want to create. A lot of people feel helpless and they feel like they don't have a choice, but you do. You have to decide that you want to make that change. You have to decide that you truly want that choice. Sure, you don't have to make it, but you don't need to be complaining because you haven't made changes. This is about karmic cycles as well. This is us continuously going through the same ordeal over and over. Different place, different person, same situation. You can cut those cords to that and you can stop that. That's you. So I don't mean to sound too preachy there. I didn't mean to go there, but I just want us to take our power back. In our society, it seems that we have given our power away too much to too many people that do not have our highest good in mind. What is healthy for us? What is emotionally healthy for us? Financially healthy for us? We tend to give ourselves away too much. And I just want you to get yourself back and to have that control over yourself and to feel that confidence again. It's that wholeness that you long for. It's not outside of you, it's within you. And that's what I want to happen for you. I want you to bring that back. I want you to get that back. I want you to remember that. Now, I hope you join me this Thursday night on thecauldron.net. Thursday night at 9 p.m. Eastern Time, and I will be doing a new astrology report. We will be talking about the moon, the new moon on the 28th. That's going to be an interesting and a very emotionally intense moon, but just tune in and you'll find out more about that. I'll also be doing, we will have the same Om, but I will be doing a new rune reading, as well as I will be pulling some new cards. So I do hope you join me. If you do miss the show, please note that I will have an extended version available on Patreon, and I will leave the link to that in the description box there. You can find me on there. Thank you so much for listening, and I hope you enjoyed this divination part of the AstroTarot show with your celestial host, Sirona Rose. Merry part until we merry meet again.